Hi there, I'm Lucy, part of the team here at 37 Disney Street, and today we're going to be talking about how the resale process works. So, stick around.
Talk about DVC.
I did a video a few months back on the difference between buying direct and buying resale and the pros and cons of both. And one of the cons of buying resale was it takes a lot longer than buying direct. Buying direct, ring up, pay your money, sign, get the points straight away. Bit different when you buy resale. There's lots of hoops to jump through. It's a long process. It takes a lot of time. So what I thought would be a good idea is to go through with you everything I had to do from putting in my offer to getting the points so I was able to book a holiday as a DVC member.
Talk about DVC.
So stage number 1, find a good deal. I suppose it isn't the first stage, it's a bit of a prologue. You need to know which home resort you want, how many points you want, an ideal use year for you and your family, and then you need to decide how much do I want to spend. So I've done a whole range of videos on this, but one I particularly recommend is the one where I go through the spreadsheet that helps you calculate what is a good deal and how much you're paying per point, and that will help you to decide how much you want to pay per point for the contract you need. So that brings us on to point number 2, put in an offer. So let's say you've done the legwork, you've gone onto one of the DVC websites, you've found a contract that suits you and your family, and it's time to put in an offer. Usually there will be some kind of contact form or offer form attached to the page where you find your contract, and it's as simple as type in the amount that you want to pay and click send. And then the agent from the website will call you. Now this took me a bit by surprise because I kind of forgot about time difference and what hours they'd be working, and I was just sitting in bed browsing the internet, decided it was time to pull the trigger, and they rung me up from America, and there was I in my pyjamas negotiating a DVC contract. But heck, it's as good a place as any. You will confirm a few details with the agent, check a few details, make sure he's got the offer correct, it wasn't a mistake, your finger didn't slip. They will then contact the seller, and look, there's a chance there for a little bit of negotiation. But at the end of this whole process, this is just a number of phone calls, you should end up having an offer accepted or rejected. If it's rejected, start again. If accepted, yay! On to stage number 3. So here comes the paperwork. Once your offer has been accepted, they will then send through the contracts and various other bits and bats of paperwork that I'll go through in a moment. Now this should be or could be the next working day, fairly soon after the initial negotiation. Mine was a little bit delayed because we had problems with the email address. It didn't come through at first. I had to ring up. The agent who I was working with wasn't in that day, so I actually didn't get my paperwork through for 4 days. But I believe that was unusual, and it was an error on my part in that I'd missed a full stop out of the email. Usually it's fairly instantaneous. So you will get this package of paperwork to sign and send back. And at the same time, you will need to pay at least 10% deposit on the price of the contract. The paperwork includes your contract, a disclosure form about the role of the real estate broker in the state of Florida. This is just a read and sign to say you've understood form, basically. A credit card authorization form to pay the deposit from. Property vesting instructions, and that's how you want the names to appear on the deed. And then there's a wire fraud warning as well that tells you all ways to avoid wire fraud. And again, it's just signed to say you've understood. So all of this is really clearly sent out from the resale company. They do a little checklist. They do some idiot-proof explanations of what's what. It's fairly simple to go through. It's just fill in your details, sign it, send it back. It does warn you that you need to make sure you've got your finances in place. So if you're looking at getting credit, if you're looking at getting a loan, financing of any kind, you need to have that in place at this point. This slowed me down a bit just because I was looking at a personal loan. I had to spend a couple of days researching, applying. Little backstory, I wasn't really worried about getting approved for the loan, so I just went in all gung-ho, and when it said what's the loan for, I just clicked other instead of car, home improvements and things. So they rung me up from the bank to say, your loan's been accepted in principle, we just need to fill in some extra details. I see you clicked other. What is the loan actually for? And at this point, I made the schoolgirl error of saying timeshare. Banks do not give loans on timeshare. So my application for a personal loan fell through. I'm telling you that so you don't do the same, because I felt jolly stupid after I'd done that. So I went down a different route of getting a 0% interest rate locked into a credit card for 18 months, and then did a cash transfer out of a credit card. And then when that 18 months is up, if there's anything left to pay, which I'm hoping there won't be, I'll just get a refinancing loan then. That slowed me down a bit. Between making the offer and sending the paperwork back off, before I got to stage 4, which I'm going to get to in a moment, we're so far up to 5 days. And that takes us on to step number 4, right of first refusal. You might see this as an acronym on DVC message boards, ROFR, right of first refusal. What that means is Disney gets first dibs on all DVC contracts going through the resale market. So you've agreed a price, that will then go to Disney, and if they want to buy it at that price, they can. If they don't, they will waive right of first refusal and you're on with the rest of the process. Disney can't negotiate at this point. They can't undercut your price. They can't offer more. They take it at the price you've agreed or they don't. But it does kind of mean that they can control the prices on the resale market. The resale market price will never go too low because Disney will always buy back those really cheap contracts. They use the contracts that they get through right of first refusal to replenish their own inventory so that they can continue to sell sold out resorts. But this is a nerve-wracking wait, and until your contract passes right of first refusal, you don't know if it's yours or not. You will get your deposit back if it all falls through, but you're just sat in limbo. Now, to tell you my personal story, I happened to buy in 2020, just when there was loads of cast members furloughed, working from homes, having technological issues, and at about that time, right of first refusal was taking forever. I was on a lot of Disney groups, DVC groups at the time, and people were up to 70 days, 80 days. No one was getting any contracts through. It became really, really sticky. And then all of a sudden, one day I logged onto Facebook and everybody had their right of first refusal passed. It was like they must have just done a huge batch all at the same time. So I was quite lucky, and mine was 36 days going from sending the contract, passing right of first refusal. But it can be more. It can be a lot less. Some people get it in like 14 days, but you are in for a wait, and I do recommend being patient. And then once you finally get that email through to say that you've passed right of first refusal, that takes you on to stage number 5, the closing documents. So there will be a bit of a wait between passing right of first refusal and getting your closing documents. And basically it's just the legal department at your brokers and at the title company need to draw up the paperwork, cross the I's, dot the T's, and that takes a bit of time. Now, my reading said it would usually be about 5 days. Mine took 16 days. Reading between the lines, I think because staff were on furlough and working from home, and they had that huge influx of right of first refusal all happen on the same day. They just had a lot of paperwork to get through. Again, be patient. For me, that was the worst wait because I'd had this big celebration that we'd passed right of first refusal, and then the paperwork just didn't appear, so I was no closer to being a DVC member. When it does appear, what you need to do is you sign it via DocuSign. This is like getting it notarized, but it's an electronic way of doing it just to make sure it's 100% kosher. And then you need to send your money via wire transfer. Now, there are certain requirements for that because if you're sending it from abroad the way we are, you have to go through certain transfer companies. You can do it through your own bank, £1, but there's fees involved. Go onto the Disboards, go onto Facebook, do your research, find out what's best for you. After a lot of reading, I chose Currencies Direct because they had a really good exchange rate compared to some others. Slightly higher fee, but the exchange rate made up for it. I worked through Currencies Direct, did their online form. I then got a phone call from somebody from Currencies Direct to go through all the security requirements. The money got sent, the closing documents got sent, and we're on to stage 6. And that is quite simply, we got confirmation of closing. That was 6 days later after sending off the closing things. So you think it's time for a party? Yay! But the waiting is still not over. When you get that email, they tell you you've got to wait for Disney to then create your membership if you are a new member. If you're not a new member and you're buying a top-up contract, this can be a bit quicker. So they warn you that it can take up to 5 weeks. No! Mine just took 13 days. I was quite lucky. So then you can log on to the DVC website and you can see your contract there and you can see your membership. All exciting. But at this stage, you still don't have points loaded. That can take an additional 14 days. I was getting a bit antsy by now because I'll be honest, I knew it would take a long time, but I didn't realise it would take this long. And we had a holiday in mind. We had already mentally spent all those points, and availability on the website was disappearing fast. So after 8 days, I rung up member services and said, any chance my points will come soon? And sure enough, they looked on my account and they said, oh yes, I can see those here. I'll load those for you now. So I don't know how long it would have taken if I hadn't given them a little nudge, but I gave them a little nudge and the point appeared. So that gives us a total of 77 days from the day that I filled in that form on the website to put in my offer to having the points loaded and available to spend. 77 days. 77 days. Now that is a long time, but bear in mind that choosing to go resale instead of going direct can save you tens of thousands of pounds. Literally. I should point out, there's no saying that yours will be 77 days. It might be more, it might be less, but the stages will be the same. Now I am going to buy a second contract at some point, and I'm going to factor in that wait into the resale buying process. I'm going to think about when I need to buy it, if I want points for a certain time, and if you can't wait that long, if you just want them in your bank, just buy direct. It'll cost you more, but you'll get them quicker.
Talk about DVC.
So I hope that's helped you know what to expect if you are planning on buying resale. In the meantime, check out the playlist. I'll make sure it's listed in the description below. And it's been fun. See you next time. Bye-bye.